Dear students, now I'm starting the explanation of this chapter, DASU Part 2. All of you please listen attentively. I will ask about the meanings of the words in the end, right? Look at the book please. DASU Part 2. Pitched, built and fixed firmly. Hobbled, walked in an awkward way, typically because of pain or an injury. Pen, an enclosure, a small enclosure for animals like sheep are kept in the pen. Okay. Grazed, cropped and ate in the field. Leopard, a large wild cat that has yellow fur with black spots on it. Class 4, have you seen a leopard? Right. Next word, intention, an aim or a plan. Right? Look at the book, please. At last, the little party came to the lower hills, which were covered with trees and grass. There, the tracks became wider and walking was much easier. Dear students, we read in the previous part of this chapter that Hatukotul got a feeble puppy, Dasu, and he took care of it. But his family didn't want to keep an useless animal with them. They used to live in camps. So Hatukotu trained Dasu as a sheepdog. He was a courageous and fearless dog. Tibetans were to carry barracks down to India, where they exchanged both their flocks and barracks for food and clothes. All of you know that. So they started their journey, which was so adventurous. They crossed the mountains and finally they reached to the lower hills. That path was larger in size. They can move easier. It was wider, right? They can move easily with their donkeys and flocks. Next paragraph. One night they camped on a narrow ridge between two valleys. The animals were unloaded and a round wall was made by building up the bags of barracks. In the middle of the circle, Hatakotu's family pitched their tents and settled down to cook their evening meal, while the flocks grazed peacefully on the green grass around them. Yes, students, one night, Tibetans decided to stay in a valley. Students, valley is a low area between hills or mountains. So they unloaded their donkeys. Look at the picture on page number 56. You can see Tibetan had built their tents and fixed firmly. Look at the bags of barracks. They had made a round wall by keeping the bags of barracks. Then Tibetans sat in a circle and started to cook their meal. As there were trees and grass, so it was a good place for the flocks. They grazed without any disturbance. Right, class? Next page. As soon as it was dark, the sheep were driven into the shelter and the donkeys were hobbled nearby, for the Tibetans knew that if an animal strayed, it would almost certainly be carried off by a tiger or a leopard. Yes, class 4. Tibetans knew that it would be dangerous for the flocks and donkeys if they were not kept in the shelter. They could be hunted by any tiger or leopard. Their donkeys were tired, and the sheep and goats had also eaten enough food. So Tibetans kept them in the shelter. Next paragraph, look at the paragraph please. Hatikotu and his parents were tired after their day's march, so they went to bed early. About midnight, Hatikotu was wakened by Dasu, who kept pushing his cold nose against the boy's neck. What's the matter, Dasu? He asked sleepily. The dog was listening eagerly to some sound, which seemed to come like an echo from the valley. As Hatakotu listened too, he heard the sudden sharp bark of a deer quite close by. It's nothing, Dasu. Go to sleep, said Hatakotu, lying down again. Yes, class. Hatakotu and his family were exhausted. They were tired after that long journey. After taking their meal, they immediately went to sleep. In the middle of the night, Hatakotu woke up as Dasu was pushing his cold nose against his neck. He asked drowsily to the dog about the matter. The dog was impatiently listening to some sounds. Hatakotu also heard that sound, but he realized that it was a sharp, explosive cry of a deer. Hatakotu slept again. Yes, class 4. We'll explain the remaining part of this chapter, inshallah, tomorrow. Thank you.